We're going to go right to our consent calendar, and we actually have several members of the public signed up to speak under this item, so we're going to go ahead and open public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 816.
Okay. So 8.16 will be pulled and taken separately from consent, but we'll just go ahead and do all the public comment here together because not everybody indicated what item they're going to speak on. So Sarah Johnson, you're signed up first. Following Sarah, we have Lynn Wheat and then Karen Lopez. Hi.
Good evening. I know there's a number of people that are going to speak to this tonight, so I just really want to make 1 or 2 points. First of all, we told you guys years ago, over and over and over again, not to put items like this in the consent calendar. Specifically, the consent calendar is for non-controversial, normal, administrative kind of items. This item does not qualify for that. So when you're doing your council briefings and you see that, why aren't you saying, hey, this shouldn't be on the consent calendar? The other point I want to make is many people have just now heard about this. Some of us that have been involved with the city since day one are aware that it's part of the general plan for the last 10 years, the Whitelock Parkway interchange. But this item is calling for you to pony up some money as a down payment to Caltrans to do the studies, and if you read the staff report, there's about $1.3 million in engineering and different things. This should not go forward until it's made very clear that the people of Elk Grove care about that park and don't want that park disrupted. There's got to be another way. There's local people even that have ideas that need to be explored. So don't go throwing money at Caltrans to study something until they are made really, really clear that they need to stay away from Elk Grove Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next speaker, Lynn Wheat. Following Lynn, we have Karen Lopez, and then following Karen, Sally Bergen.
Good evening. I appreciate online blogs because they can be a source for lively debate and conversation, something that we should have actually going on in our City Hall chambers. One comment made on there was many have recently worked themselves up into a lather over this consent item. Well, understandably, Elk Grove Park was a legacy that was brought to us by residents in the Depression that raised money. They had a vision. They wanted open space preservation for us to enjoy. And here, you as our leaders, even though it is in the general plan, are willing to stomp all over that. Well, I can tell you the general plan, it's been amended, there's been rezones, so that is a continually changing document, and this most certainly can be addressed. I would suggest that we could look at that and bring it forth. You as our leaders have responded well to developers. How about responding to the residents that live here? In one mayoral campaign forum, this was known as a destination spot. It's already been paid for and provided to all of us. It helps the Strauss Festival. It helps everything that has made us a destination for those wanting to come to visit, as well as those that are here. And yet, you're going to put this on a consent item. And I understand the wiggle words within our general plan allow that. And in 2003, we most certainly didn't have the population that we have now. And I would suggest that there are 70,000 new residents here that might want to have a say in how we deal with the traffic that you as our leaders created. It was the overriding considerations within our general plan that did this. It is the amendments that you have made to the general plan. It was that gem of Madeira that you chose to develop that created this traffic nightmare that we have. And understandably, Caltrans, when they provide us a plan, they're going to have a plan that's safe for traffic. They're not going to be so interested in the park because they're going to have to manage it as engineers. I will close with some comments that I think were really well said on the blog. Moving West Stockton Road east to build this interchange will impact the park. There is a dog park, a bike park, walking trail, softball fields. The impact to Strauss Island is more visual and noise level, thus the enjoyment of activities like the Strauss Festival and all of the numerous events that are held in the park. If the map shows what the tentative plan is, then we have a problem with the existing general plan from 2003. That should be revisited and revised. Lastly, I will conclude. It is suggested that we will have stakeholder meetings here. Well, let's be honest with how that works. I can tell you from the SEPA that what happens is landowners and developers meet before the residents are shown the plans, and then we're guided and directed in what we would like, such as we all want a soccer stadium. Where in that 1,200 acres will we purchase that 120 acres for a soccer stadium? The real stakeholders are not always allowed in attendance at these meetings. They're not always provided lunchtime during the daytime and invited to come to those lunch meetings. It is time for you as our leaders to begin to respect the residents that live here, that buy homes here, that would like to work here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. All right, Karen Lopez, you're next. Following Karen, we have Sally Bergen signed up.
Good evening. I've lived here about 28 years, and I just found out about this 816 today and this little circle map. I don't know how it's a consent item. Some of this is going to be repetitive. Sorry about that. I oppose it completely. I don't think White Lock's needed. You have Grant Line a mile away. You have Elk Grove a little while away. The park was a gift to the county. I don't know legally how you can encroach on the park and take the park away to build this. I think it will ruin the jewel of Elk Grove. I mean, I heard you talking, Mr. Diedrich, Vice Mayor, about the priceless expressions on children's faces. Today, there's priceless expressions on children's faces at the dog park, at the BMX park, at the baseball field. There is at the historic Stagecoach, whatever you call the little hotel there that's been there forever. There is at the Veterans Day parades. The proposed Pirate Island will be right there. At the children, the adults at the Strauss Festival, 4th of July, on and on. Everything you named you did recently, all of those things are what makes Elk Grove Elk Grove. Absolutely. Not a new freeway that will ruin everything. It's just going to destroy the jewel of Elk Grove. That's why people move here. That's why we're a destination. We're safe. We have community things. We have diversity. I could talk about more of that stuff, but to me, this parkway is a massive expenditure in that hopes of maybe you'll get this aquatic center, maybe you'll get this soccer thing. It'll all be draws to come here. But to me, you're ruining what we already have. You're just outright destroying it, completely destroying it. I've taken myself to that park for years, my children, my grandchildren, and I agree with all this emotion of people. It'll totally be ruined. And like I said before at the beginning opening comments, I'm new to this, so forgive me for not being good at it, but I see it being a pattern set by this council of spending money in advance, and then the things fail. You give away money. I wouldn't run my house like that. I would not give you the profit from an ice rink in advance before I knew what I was going to get. This is $1,300,000. What will the total bill be when it's done? You don't know. What if none of that gets built? I have a big freeway on-ramp I use now because I live east of the park. So I use Grant Line instead of Elk Grove Boulevard. Well, that goes to an empty shopping center. You know, doesn't go anywhere. This could be the same thing and just ruin everything. So thank you for listening to me, and I really don't think it should be a consent item. It should be publicized, and you should get the input of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. For being new, you're doing just fine. Sally Bergen, you're next. Following Sally, we have Michael Manaski signed up.
This is going to be repetitive, but I think it's necessary. We've listened to you for an hour and a half, and now it's your turn. I'd like to express my concerns regarding consent calendar item 816, an agenda item that is anything but non-controversial. One concern is that it appears on the consent calendar at all for this reason. Pursuing any highway interchange construction at the location noted in the proposed Whitelock Parkway documents could not avoid having an extremely adverse effect on the whole northwest portion of Elk Grove Regional Park, including existing and valuable cultural and preservation features that attract local and regional visitors to the area. Specifically, these features include Heritage Park, the designated area within the park where the Elk Grove Historical Museum is located, along with 3 other valuable historic preservation buildings and commemorative markers, as well as the west surroundings of the regionally renowned Strauss Island. Per an email message to me from Vice Mayor Detrick yesterday, this agenda item has been on the books since 2003 as part of a long-term forecasting for traffic improvements, and it's not driven by any individual developments or projects like future potential development of an aquatic sports park, a soccer stadium that's imaginary at this point, or multiple housing units that would be built and not bought. These things I had questioned. It seems to me that agreeing now to pay Caltrans a lot of money to start and a bigger amount to continue to just have a feasibility study on a 10-year-old suggestion that was made before the Grant Line Road interchange was even built, before any of you, except Jim, who's not here, were on the council, and one that has not been vetted at all with the citizens of Elk Grove at public meetings, it's not a reasonable expenditure of our taxpayer money. I believe the citizens of Elk Grove would be appalled that their city council representatives would even consider damaging their regional park's unique value in order to make it more convenient for some drivers to get from one side of the highway to the other, when there are already 2 freeway crossings less than 3 miles apart at Elk Grove Boulevard and at Grant Line Road. To anyone who has driven on the frontage roads on both sides of the highway, it's clear that even widening East Stockton Boulevard at any point along the park, let alone revising it to accommodate an interchange, would require at the very least the removal of numerous trees, picnic areas, tables, parking spaces, parts of the heavily used walking track, the dog park, even down to the bike park. And it would totally eliminate the current northwest entrance access to the park from East Stockton Boulevard. It is obvious to anyone driving on the west side of Highway 99, I am going to continue. Please grant me the time.
Please wrap it up.
In the area where Whitelock Parkway meets the frontage road, there's ample room to widen all that roading. I recommend to you, council members, that this agenda item be pulled, which I appreciate Patrick's doing that, from the consent calendar tonight. And if you want to pursue this 10-year-old proposal in the future, you first schedule numerous public meetings for the Elk Grove community to learn about this proposed highway interchange that would do irreparable damage to the regional park. This process will allow you to get direct input from your constituents, which you say you like to have, about what they value in their city and what they expect from you as our representatives. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Sally. Our next speaker is Michael Manaski. Following Michael, we have Mark Doty signed up.
Can you put it on the screen there, or so that everybody can see it? Oh, it's there. Wonderful. Thank you. I want to initiate my remarks by answering Mr. Trigg's claim that Elk Grove is a safe city in which to live. It wasn't for two Sikh men who were murdered on the streets of Elk Grove on April 11th, 2011. We're coming up on the 3rd anniversary next April, and that remains, as far as I know, Chief of Police can correct me, but I think that remains unsolved at this time, those two murders. Anyway, this is a picture of the map that was included on page 15 of the agenda item that you've pulled. And if you look closely at the target circle there, it not only goes into the park, it actually goes into the residences. I believe that's a, let's see, no, I guess those are just residences there because it's on the other side of Elk Grove High School. So there's a regular RD5 probably, homes. It'll take out everything that's there, including the dog park. I mean, we've had 72 hours notice. You let the dog owners know that you're going to remove a dog park, and you're in even deeper poo. I don't see how this would ever fly. I disagree with my colleagues who have spoken eloquently here tonight about bothering to try to amend or do anything but amend the general plan. This is a stupid idea. When I served on the Community Planning Advisory Council, as appointed by the Board of Supervisors 13 years ago now, 14 years ago, we looked at the Lant Ranch Mall, which was then the Lant Ranch Mall, now the Promenade Mall, and that project it was suggested that we put it at this location, right around the location of Whitelock and what is otherwise Poppy Ridge. And, the complaint was, well, we have a park there. You can't put an interchange there. There's a park. So this is old news. And you guys are trying to do something that, is just going to enrich Wildan engineering to the tune of $1 million over the next 2 years. And that's not fair either. We've got to stop throwing good money after bad. We did it with the Civic Center. We did it with now we're doing it with the Aquatic Center idea. And now this. And you need to have the public on board. You don't have the public on board. And maybe to close here, your contention in the staff report and the background information, the very first line, it says, the proposed interchange will relieve congestion on Elk Grove Boulevard. Will it? Really? I mean, I could make that the opposite claim, that it will actually increase congestion. So there's nothing here to substantiate that. And if you are looking at old environmental data or traffic data, then you can't make that contention. So we need to revisit this as far as making a general plan amendment change that says we're not going to do this. No.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Mark Doty, you are our final speaker signed up under this item tonight.
Good evening, Mayor. I guess the new Vice Mayor is not here. Mark Doty, thank you for the reception. I'm a member on the Trails Committee, and it's the general reason why I'm here tonight. At the risk of angering the people behind me, I am in favor of this project. Couple of reasons why is because you look at the area, Laguna Madera, Laguna Ridge, Southeast Policy area, between Grant Line and Elk Grove Boulevard, there's going to be a lot of people. Homes, there's going to be businesses. There needs to be access to Highway 99. That's just the reality. Most of Elk Grove, like me, they drive to Sacramento to work. So there's a lot of homes already along near, Consumnes Oaks High School and so on. And right now, everybody heads north on Bighorn or Bruceville Road, and they hang a right on Elk Grove Boulevard, and they, head down to the freeway and so on. But So, I mean, I think this is needed. What I think is important, though, is that this is done right. And I've made some comments in some online blogs that have been discussed. And the key on this thing is to build this thing properly. This is actually, in this location, there's a trail crossing that's on the Trails Master Plan. So that needs to be integrated into this somehow. And then I would propose just looking at a map, an aerial Google map, a lot better than this little diagram that we have here, that I would propose, and this is way early, but I know this is just to get the ball rolling. This is way early, but what you do in this location, you have it only you can go west from 99. You can't go east. There's nowhere to go. You're not going to have a full interchange that's going to go into Elk Grove Park. What are you going to do? Pull people from Lismore Drive past the burnout stop sign or a light that you mentioned earlier, and go through the park and then get on the freeway there. It doesn't make sense. This is only for west of 99. So you have just a two, you have a bridge, crosses the freeway, and right there you get on 99 going north. Maybe you don't even have access to go southbound or exiting going northbound. And then you're not encroaching on the park as much, because I would, as the others have suggested, if this is going to encroach on the park and do a full-on interchange that looks like Laguna Boulevard, no deal. But if you build it right and you build a trail crossing that you can get to the park from Whitelock Parkway that has a nice trail along it, and you just allow traffic to get to 99 northbound, and you build it right, which is what should happen. And I talked to Lynn earlier, and she's worried that Caltrans is going to over-engineer this and make it some full-blown interchange, and in that case, I would be against it. So as far as just purposes of this, I think you need to approve it just so we can know what the possibilities are. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Thanks very much, Mark.